All right, let's dive in. Today we're exploring The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson.
This is a good one.
Have you read it?
I have. Yeah, it's a fascinating book.
It really gets you thinking about those everyday choices, the little things we do that we don't think much of at the time.
Right, like how those seemingly insignificant decisions can actually add up to huge results over time.
Exactly. It's not about some massive overnight transformation. It's those small, consistent actions, the slight edge choices that really shape our lives in the long run.
And it's not always easy to see those small choices, is it?
No, it's not. That's why I think this book is so powerful. It shines a light on those almost invisible decisions we make every single day and shows us how they can either set us up for success or lead us down a path we didn't intend to travel.
It really challenges that whole quantum leap mentality, doesn't it? We're so drawn to the idea of overnight success. But the reality is that lasting change takes time and consistent effort.
Olson uses a great analogy in the book, The Water Hyacinth.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
This tiny plant doubles in size every day. It's barely noticeable at first, but give it a month, and that little plant can take over an entire pond.
It's a powerful image of how those small, seemingly insignificant choices we make each day can compound over time.
Exactly. And that compounding effect can work for us or against us, depending on the choices we make. Olson argues that we all have the potential for two paths, the path of the beach bum or the path of the millionaire.
And which path we end up on is determined by those daily choices, right?
Right. It's not about some grand, predetermined destiny. It's about the tiny actions we take each day, the habits we form, the mindset we cultivate. And the crazy thing is, Olson actually started out as that struggling beach bum himself, down in Daytona Beach, just scraping by.
Oh, right, I'd forgotten that part of his story. That really makes his message even more compelling, doesn't it?
It does, because he lived it.
Yeah.
He experienced that struggle and then figured out how to turn things around. He had this moment, what he calls his day of disgust, where he realized he was tired of feeling stuck and decided to make a change.
And he went all in, right, pushing himself to the limit, what he calls super achieving.
He did, but even with all that effort, he still faced setbacks and failures. It wasn't until he shifted his focus to those small, consistent actions, those slight edge choices, that he started to see real, lasting success.
So it wasn't just about raw effort, it was about directing that effort in the right way.
Exactly. And this is where I think a lot of people get tripped up. We think we have to make these huge, sweeping changes to see results, but the slight edge challenges that idea, doesn't it?
It does. It's about those tiny, seemingly insignificant actions that we often dismiss as not making a difference.
Like brushing your teeth.
Exactly. We don't brush our teeth once a month and expect to have healthy teeth, do we?
No, we do it consistently, day after day, even if we don't feel like it. And that's the same approach we need to take with other areas of our lives.
It's about recognizing that even the smallest actions, when repeated consistently over time, can create massive results. Olson compares it to the formation of the Grand Canyon.
Oh yeah, that's a great analogy. A tiny stream of water, consistently flowing over millions of years, carved out this monumental natural wonder.
And it wasn't just that water, it was the consistency of it over time that made all the difference.
It makes you realize that even the smallest, most consistent actions can create massive results over time. And it's not just about big, dramatic gestures. It's about those little everyday choices that we often dismiss as insignificant.
One of the biggest challenges we face is this illusion of quantum leaps. We see those overnight success stories and start to believe that's how lasting change happens.
But the reality is it's a gradual process, isn't it? It's about those small steps forward, day after day.
Precisely. Like those athletes who win by fractions of a second. We see the victory, but what we don't see are all the years of dedicated training, those tiny improvements they made day after day. It's all those seemingly insignificant actions, those slight edge choices that add up to create those extraordinary results.
Like Edison and his 1,000 attempts to perfect the light bulb. We celebrate that aha moment, but what we often overlook are all the failed attempts that led to that breakthrough.
It's about embracing the process, trusting that those small, consistent actions are creating a ripple effect, even if we can't see it immediately.
And speaking of ripples, Olson also brings in another fascinating element, the role of happiness.
Yeah, this is a good one. A lot of people think happiness is the result of success, but research is actually suggesting it might be the other way around.
Wait, so you're saying happiness actually drives success, not the other way around?
That's what positive psychology research is pointing to.
Okay, so how do we tap into this happiness advantage? Are
Yeah.
we talking about affirmations and rainbows here?
It's actually much more practical than that. Sean Achor, a leading researcher in this field, suggests 5 simple habits: gratitude journaling, reliving positive experiences, meditation, acts of kindness, and even just 15 minutes of exercise.
Those are all things we can realistically incorporate into our day, even with a busy schedule. It's like finding the slight edge within the slight edge.
Exactly. It's about mastering the mundane, turning those small, positive actions into daily habits that compound over time.
So choosing a healthy meal over fast food, or reading a few pages of a book instead of scrolling mindlessly through social media.
Right. It's about making those choices more often than not. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent with those small, positive actions.
It's about recognizing that those seemingly insignificant choices, repeated consistently over time, are the building blocks of the life we want to create.
And speaking of building blocks, there's another crucial element that Olson emphasizes: the importance of completion. He says leaving things unfinished can actually hold us back from moving forward.
You know, this one hits close to home for me. I've definitely got a few unfinished projects lurking around that I've been avoiding. But he doesn't advocate for tackling everything at once, does he?
No, not at all. It's not about creating overwhelm. It's about starting small, picking one thing, and seeing it through to completion. He shares a really inspiring story about a woman named Valerie Thomas who finally conquered her overwhelming basement clutter by taking it one small step at a time.
That's a good reminder that even the most daunting tasks become manageable when we break them down into smaller steps. Okay, so to recap what we've covered so far, the slight edge is about recognizing the power of consistent, positive actions over time, even when those actions seem insignificant in the moment. It's about mastering the mundane, cultivating genuine happiness, and completing what we start.
And there's a framework for putting all of this into practice.
Right. He outlines 7 key habits that are essential for harnessing the power of the slight edge.
And they build on everything we've talked about so far.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's hear them. What's habit number 1?
The first one, and maybe the most important, is simply to show up. It sounds pretty basic, right? But you'd be surprised how many people don't actually show up consistently for the things that matter most to them.
It's true. Life gets in the way, or we get distracted, or we just don't feel like it.
And that's where those slight edge choices come in. It's about showing up even when it's not easy or exciting.
So showing up is the first habit. What's the second?
Be consistent. Remember that water hyacinth analogy? It's that consistent daily growth that creates those incredible results.
Yeah, but consistency can be tough. What about those days when you just don't feel motivated?
That's where the third habit comes in. Have a positive outlook.
So it's not just about showing up and being consistent. It's about the attitude we bring to those actions.
Exactly. Olson emphasizes the importance of maintaining a positive mindset, especially when things get tough.
And those 5 happy habits we talked about earlier can really help with that, can't they?
Absolutely. Gratitude, positive memories, meditation, kindness, exercise, those are all powerful tools for cultivating a positive outlook.
It's like they create a foundation of resilience.
Right, helping us bounce back from setbacks and keep moving forward even when we don't feel like it. And when we have that positive outlook, we're more likely to stay committed for the long haul.
Which is habit number 4, right?
You got it. Be committed for the long haul.
This is where I think a lot of us struggle, especially in today's world of instant gratification. We want to see results quickly, and if we don't, we're tempted to give up and move on to the next shiny object.
It's that quantum leap illusion again, making us think success happens overnight. But the slight edge is about playing the long game. It's about having that patience and persistence to keep going, even when we don't see immediate results.
It's like planting a seed and nurturing it, knowing it will eventually blossom, even if we can't see the growth happening underground.
That's a great way to put it. And to stay committed over the long haul, we need something to fuel that commitment. That's where the 5th habit comes in. Cultivate a burning desire backed by faith.
It's more than just wanting something, isn't it? It's about having a deep-seated yearning, a passion that keeps us going even when faced with obstacles.
Exactly. Olson says you need that burning desire, that deep wanting, to achieve true success. And it's not just desire, it's also about having faith in the process. Trusting that those slight edge actions will eventually lead to the results you're looking for.
But desire and faith can only take you so far, right? You also have to be willing to put in the work.
Absolutely. That's habit number 6. Be willing to pay the price.
There's no such thing as a free lunch, is there? We have to be willing to invest the time and effort required to reach our goals. And sometimes that means making sacrifices.
Right. Olson tells the story about leaving his successful softball team because it was taking time away from his business. It was a tough decision, but it ultimately allowed him to focus on what was most important.
It's about making those tough choices that align with your priorities. So 6 habits down, 1 to go. What's the final habit Olson emphasizes?
Practice slight edge integrity.
Okay, integrity. What does that look like in the context of the slight edge?
It's about doing the right thing even when no one is watching. Making those small, positive choices consistently, even when it would be easy to take the shortcut or let things slide.
It's about those moments when we choose to get up for that early morning workout instead of hitting the snooze button, or we reach for a healthy snack instead of that bag of chips.
Exactly. It's about being honest with ourselves and holding ourselves accountable to those daily disciplines, those seemingly small choices that reveal our true commitment to the slight edge journey.
So these 7 habits form the foundation for harnessing the power of the slight edge. But it's not just about individual effort, is it? Olson also talks about the people we surround ourselves with.
You're right. He calls it the law of association, the idea that we become like those we spend the most time with.
So the people we hang out with actually influence our income, our health, even our happiness.
That's what he's saying.
So if you want to be successful, you need to surround yourself with successful people.
It's not just about success, it's about surrounding yourself with people who inspire you, support your growth, and challenge you to be your best self.
And sometimes that means letting go of relationships that aren't serving you, even if they're comfortable or familiar.
It's about being mindful of who you're spending your time with and making sure those relationships are aligned with your goals and values.
Olson even suggests creating a mastermind group, a small circle of like-minded individuals who are committed to supporting each other's success.
Yeah, that's a powerful concept. Having that kind of support system can make a huge difference. But even with the right habits and the right people in your corner, there's still one crucial piece of the puzzle.
Taking action, right?
Exactly. All the knowledge and inspiration in the world won't get you anywhere if you don't act on it. Olson shares this great story about how he built a successful sales force in Germany, and it all happened through a series of unplanned events.
So it wasn't some perfectly crafted strategy. It was about being open to opportunities and willing to adapt as he went along.
Exactly. And he highlights this by talking about the Apollo 11 mission to the moon. They were off course for like 90% of the journey, but through constant adjustments, they still made it.
It's a good reminder that we don't have to have everything figured out before we start. We just have to start and be willing to course correct along the way. So we've talked about the habits, the importance of our associations, the need to take action. But it's not just about achieving some external definition of success, is it?
No, there's definitely a deeper layer here.
Olson talks about something he calls the ripple effect.
Yeah.
The idea that our actions, even the smallest ones, create ripples that extend far beyond ourselves.
It's like throwing a pebble into a pond.
Exactly. Those ripples can have a positive impact or a negative impact depending on the choices we make.
And his daughter Amber talks about this in the book, right?
Yeah, she shares how the slight edge helped her in her own life, but she also talks about using her success to make a positive impact on others.
I think that's a really important point. The slight edge isn't just about personal gain. It's about using those principles to create a better world.
And Olson's wife, Renee, also shares some great insights in the book. She talks about the importance of kindness and encouragement, even in those small, everyday interactions.
She believes those little acts of generosity can really make a difference.
Like that story Olson tells about Ignaz Semmelweis, the doctor who insisted on hand washing.
Oh, right. Back then, hand washing wasn't common practice, but Semmelweis knew it would save lives.
And he was ridiculed for it at the time. But he persisted, and his insistence on that seemingly small action literally transformed medical practices and saved countless lives.
It's a powerful example of how a simple, consistent action can create massive change.
As we wrap up our deep dive into the slight edge, I'm struck by this sense of possibility. It's like success isn't this far-off destination, it's a path we create with each choice we make.
And those choices don't have to be huge or dramatic. It's those small, consistent actions that ultimately make all the difference.
So here's a question for you to consider as you go about your day. What's one slight edge action you could take today? Something small but meaningful that could create a positive ripple in your life and the lives of others. It's something to think about.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Until next time, Keep learning, keep growing, and keep making those slight edge choices.